Hello, and welcome friends. How do you know which sports cards to buy when you're talking about a potential flip or investment? What do? What's the process to find the goods? We use two things, combinatorics and catalysts. A catalyst is any sort of event or moment that is going to move the price of the card. The number one factor that defines a card or collectible's value is demand. And when the demand changes, the price will also change, whether that's a positive or a negative. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. First up is combinatorics. In poker, we use combinatorics to evaluate what we think our opponent can have mathematically based on the way that they're playing. For example, there are 4 aces and 4 kings in the deck. Multiplied together is 16 combinations. So if you hold an ace in your hand, that means there's only 3 aces left in the deck and 4 kings. Multiplied together, you can have 12 combinations. When there's a flop, a turn, and a river, plus the cards in your hand, you can figure out what your opponent may or may not have mathematically based on the way that they're playing. But this video isn't about poker lessons. It's far too complex of a subject to talk about right now. But it is a key factor in knowing which sports cards to buy when you're looking at an investment or a flip. I'm going to read you the combinatorics explanation on the Wikipedia page. Combinatorics is an area of mathematics primarily concerned with counting both as a means and an end in obtaining results and certain properties of finite structures. The enumeration of specified structures, sometimes referred to as arrangements or configurations in a very general sense, associated with finite systems. The existence of such structures that satisfy certain given criteria, the construction of these structures, perhaps in many ways, and optimization, finding the best structure or solution among several possibilities, be it the largest, smallest, or satisfying some other optimality criterion. So what this means is that when you're looking at a card or a specific player, you can see the finite structure of all of the cards available for that player, either from a rookie year, or you could look at parallel and numbered cards, only autographed cards. There's a lot of ways to approach it, but the end result is that there's only so many cards available. How do you know which ones to buy? And that is where correlation comes in. If you watch my previous video talking about Zion Williamson's cards, you'll notice that I noted the #1 breakout player this season in the NBA to likely be Domantas Sabonis, who of course showed up with a triple-double the other day, along with beating the Celtics by 1 last night with his Pacers. Suddenly, his cards have gone up quite a bit in value. I bought a bunch of his Prism cards at $20. They're at the $50 or $60 mark, but that's an easy one. Combinatorially, we know that Prism is usually the most popular card. I bought a bunch of his Optic cards at $5 and $6 that are now selling for almost $30. Once you've found a player that you think is undervalued, you want to take a look at what cards are available of that player and make a list. And you got to go through essentially a tier list. Prism is tier 1. We're not talking about boutique cards like National Treasures or super high-end stuff, one-of-ones, that sort of thing. Those are obviously up there as well, but when you're looking at the average base, you're looking for correlation to find which cards might be undervalued of that player for that year. We're looking at Prism, Select, Optic, Donruss Paper, the list goes on and on of types, down to the draft cards with the college uniforms that no one seems to really be into. This can be very helpful when you're looking beyond 2012. That was the start of Prism, so every combinatorial list is going to start with Prism these days. If you go back behind that, you're going to find that it's a little bit more ambiguous. So what do we have? If you're a subscriber to my newsletter, you would have gotten an email telling you that Kyrie Irving was probably going to start pumping in price. The reason why is that he's likely to be the primary stat producer for the Brooklyn Nets, who are also very likely to go into the playoffs, maybe even go deep or come close to winning a championship. And Kevin Durant is obviously the man. Kyrie is going to be the primary scorer. When I was doing my research for Kyrie cards, his rookie is 2012, so he does have Prism, but we're going to set that aside. What else is there besides Prism? Well, we found Rated Rookie, which is 2012 Prestige, so if demand increases based on Kyrie Irving's play, the Rated Rookie card might be one that they're looking towards because it's iconic and people know the name Rated Rookie. His 2012 Hoops is a popular card, and the 2012 Panini Base. So you sort of have a pecking order of 2012 Prism, and then Select, and then goes a little bit more ambiguous at that point. You can find even the Panini Base at the $9 mark at this point in time, which I feel by the end of this season could be $20 or $30. He has to be at least as popular as a guy like Damian Lillard, and if you look at the way that his cards priced last year, they were at like $8 or $10 for those hoops, and now they're like $30 or $40. You could see where that jump came from that demand. So it's likely that the same thing will happen with Kyrie's cards. So step one one is to do your research and find a player that you think is going to have a bunch of attention on them based on a coming event. Find the catalyst. Next, go through the combinatorics of what's available and check out that finite structure of cards to see which one's going to be more popular, and based on that tier list, find which one within that list is likely underpriced versus the other ones. Make sure you look at these subset of structures for a particular collectible or player. First appearance, rookie card, most popular set, least populated, highest graded. All of these attributes are there and available for you to comb through to find value. Another good example of catalysts are the superhero movies that are coming out in the next couple of years. There's a Carnage movie coming out in 2021, along with a Spider-Man movie, and then there's a Batman movie called The Batman coming out in 2022, on my birthday no less, March 4th. The reason why I think this is important is because we're seeing cards of all types trending, and I believe that that demand for cards is going to potentially trickle down to comic book heroes as well. You guys know that Fleer Precious Metal Gems is an extremely popular set, and there's a bunch of short printed versions of those with Marvel characters. I picked up a Venom the other day for $50 on Comsy, along with the 1990 Impel Marvel Universe set of comic book cards, which has Venom's rookie card essentially, and I picked a bunch of those up in the $2 to $3 range, and there's not that many left. Pretty soon they're going to be $15 cards. And as far as the Batman movie that comes out on my birthday, there are a couple collectibles that I'm getting into regarding that movie. The first is a comic book called Batman number 405, the first appearance of Carmine Falcone. The reason why I'm getting into this one is because John Turturro of the Big Lebowski fame, you guys know Jesus, what happened to the Jesus? Nobody with the Jesus. Yeah, that guy, everybody loves the characters that he plays. Him playing Carmine Falcone should garner a lot of attention around the character, and that is his first comic book appearance. And right now, you can get a CGC graded 9.8 for as little as $120 or $130. So for me, I believe that that could easily go up to a $250 to $300 comic book, and it's a relatively safe investment in that I don't think the floor on this comic book is going to drop out randomly anytime soon. The next that's really cool is Batman's 1966 rookie card. The number one card is called The Batman. Same thing as the title of the movie, The Batman. So there's probably going to be correlation there. So we have correlation, we have a catalyst, we have combinatorics. Obviously, you can't get a first appearance of Batman in the comic book. That's going to be extremely expensive. But you can get his rookie card, and cards are trending. So all of these things point to that probably being a spot where you can pick stuff up now for cheap and then get some value for it later. Now, I have to warn you, these cards are not that cheap. You can get them for like 40 or 50 bucks if you're lucky at auction, but it's really hard to get these in good condition. Even in a PSA 8, people are asking a couple $1,000s right now. That's how rare they are. And the Batman 1966 wax packs are like $300 to $600 on their own. We all know how long it takes to get graded cards back from grading companies, and when you're considering which cards to send out now, you want to think about what's going to be popular when you get that card back. You want them to be in demand. If you were to send off a bulk order to PSA right now, you might see them back in August or by the time Batman's out. This is a cyclical game, and you want to play to the future. You want to be a year or even 2 years ahead in some cases. Another thing that's really important, you want to think about the end user. When collectors get hyped up about a Batman movie, or when they get hyped up for the new season of basketball, the new season of baseball, what are they going to be attracted to? What are they going to be buying? Which ones are they going to pay more for? Where will the demand go? And that is what you want to plan for. That's what you want to focus your purchasing on. And right now, I'm focusing most of my purchasing on Top Shot because the acceleration and the value of Top Shot is absolutely insane. They're at the end of their base Series 1, their Series 2 is about to come out, and things are sort of taking shape as to what's more desirable. The advertising is getting rolled out on Facebook through NBA players, and I really think that if you have any interest in digital collectibles, and if you have any interest in getting in on something that might really blow up, now is the time for Top Shot. There's a bit of a potpourri to this process. You do your research, you figure out the catalyst, you look at the combinatorics, you figure out which cards are underpriced or which ones the demand will go to, and from there, it's big money, no whammies, and... Thanks for joining me today, friends. I know this stuff is a bit complex. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will do my best to get back with you. I am going to be doing content on Monday and Friday in regards to sports cards, and I'm probably going to be doing a Top Shot video on Wednesdays. That is my tentative schedule for the 2021 season. We are going to go as hard as we can on this YouTube shit. And we're getting close to 3,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy because we just got to 2,000 subscribers. So thank you for being a part of this community. It's been awesome getting to know you guys and having a great time together in the sports card market. In closing, check out my video interview with Alan Carr from Top Shot and really do consider getting in. I'll stop bothering you about it. We're still going to talk physical sports cards. That's the primary jam. But these digital cards are coming in hot, and I wouldn't want you to miss out and then regret it later or be mad at me. You can only be mad at yourself. I told you. You can't come to me later and say, "Hey man, you told me, but then I didn't, but then you did, and now you are and I'm not." Because either you is or you ain't. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? I'll catch you on the Top Shot.